Hey everybody, it's Rob Lutz. I'm here with another installment of the stories behind the songs, my favorite songs from the history of popular music in America and Canada. This one goes back to 1899, and this is one that I knew the chorus of, and I think a lot of people will know the chorus of, but I didn't know the story behind the song, and I didn't know the verses of the song. It's a song called Hello My Baby, written in 1899 by Joe Howard and Ida Emerson. They were a vaudeville duo in the Chicago area, and they did so well that they got invited to New York to Tony Pastor's Music Hall on 14th Street in 1898. And they came and performed. Of course, New York was the home of Tin Pan Alley since about the 1880s, which meant all the publishers from across the U.S. had relocated there because that's where Broadway was. And it was really it was the largest city in the U.S. It was where something like 70% of immigration to the U.S. was happening. The financial district, vaudeville, was sort of centered there, this new form of entertainment that had taken over from the minstrel shows of the 19th century. So it was the place to be. So they came and performed, and then they wrote this song, and it became a million seller in sheets. Sheets were what you were trying to sell in 1899. There were recordings, wax cylinders, and phonograph recordings, but they wouldn't really dominate the market until about 1920. So at this point, you're still trying to sell sheets. And this tune was very Tin Pan Alley in a way because it was trying to capitalize on popular themes. Tin Pan Alley was popular music written to be popular, not like, classical is popular and it just is popular, but it's not written for that reason. Same with folk music. It kind of emerges from the culture, not made to be popular, but Tin Pan Alley was all about finding popular themes and selling sheets. So this song has it's Hello My Baby, My Ragtime Gal. Ragtime was a global craze from the 1880s, early 90s until the teens, 1915, and even had fumes going after that, although it was overtaken by jazz. So ragtime's mentioned in this. This song also features and is the first big time hit to talk about the telephone, to feature the telephone. The telephone was invented in the 1870s, I think 1876. And it had been mentioned in songs, but this was the first really big one. And it also has the word that was brought back into usage, really, for the telephone, which is hello. Hello was the first recorded use in North America, I think, was 1826. It was not in wide usage throughout the 19th century. People would greet each other with good day, good morning, good evening, good morrow, etc. But hello was brought back to use with the telephone. Alexander Graham Bell had invented the telephone. He wanted the word to be ahoy. So he answered the phone, ahoy, ahoy. Because at first people didn't know how to interact with someone who they weren't seeing. The telephone was a very odd experience, and people would pick it up and say, are you ready to talk now? So he wanted it to be ahoy. Thomas Edison, who had not invented the telephone, but who worked at perfecting it and adapting it, and was a fanatical and really important inventor in the U.S. He wanted the word to be hello. He went out by the late 1890s. The operators were known as hello girls. Only about 10% of Americans had a telephone at this point, 1899. So this is a couple of the interesting things that this song was seizing upon. It also has this great idea of someone who has never seen the person that they're in love with or they're dating. At the time, in 1899, this idea would have been hilarious, ridiculous. Today, meeting someone on the phone, getting to know them is very common, but back then this would have been an insanely funny setup. So that's Hello My Baby. How does it survive? Well, it survives. It was a big hit in its day, and then it was brought back and used in a Warner Brothers Merry Melodies cartoon in 1955 called One Froggy Evening. And there's a link to this cartoon in the description, at least the first part of it, and you can follow through. The segments are on YouTube. This was a Chuck Jones directed piece where there's a gentleman, a building is being destroyed, and a gentleman is standing around, and part of the building goes down, and something is revealed, and there's a box in this little sort of area in the home, and he goes and picks it up, and there's a frog inside, and the frog jumps out of the box immediately and starts performing, and he performs this song, and he dances, and he has a hat and does this thing, and his name is Michigan J. Frog. The curse of this, of course, is that the frog will only perform for the guy who's opened it, taken it out of the box. So this guy sees this dancing frog, he thinks he's going to make millions, books a theater, sells tickets, fills it up, and then the frog gets on stage and just acts like a frog. But yet, when everyone's gone, he's with the gentleman alone. He does his dance again. So this is the frustration. This idea came from an old Cary Grant film, 1944, with a caterpillar that would dance when a certain song was played by a young boy. It was called Once Upon a Time. So this song also blends all of these elements of music. You know, the story of American music is a blend of European and African influences. Although there are many subtleties within that, and there's indigenous music, but the overarching story is a blend of black and white music. And this song kind of has that European music form, the verse-chorus thing, which is very European, but then it has all this syncopation and this ragtime, this feel in it, which is very African-American. So this is a great example of how Tin Pan Alley started to blend these. And you hear little elements of proto-jazz. It's before jazz, but it has ragtime elements, which would eventually develop into jazz. So here it is, Hello My Baby, Joe Howard, Ida Emerson. Joe Howard lived into 1961. Ida Emerson died in 1945. She was one of the few female songwriters on Tin Pan Alley. Kay Swift, Dana Suisse, Dorothy Fields. There was a few others, but it was really a male-dominated industry, which is sad when you think of the songs that might have been written by women depicting their take on modern life at that time. But Ida Emerson did break through, and this is their tune. I'm going to put a link to Joe Howard singing this song on the George Jessel Show in 1953 in the description below. Check it out. Really interesting. And hit like and subscribe if you've enjoyed this video, and we'll see you again. Hello, my baby. I've got a little baby, but she's out of sight. I talk to her across the telephone. I've never seen my honey, but she's mine alright. So take my tip and leave this gal alone. Every single morning you will hear me yell, hey Central, fix me up along the line. He connects me with my honey, then I rings the bell, and this is what I say to baby mine. Hello my baby, hello my honey, hello my ragtime gal. Give me a kiss by wire. Baby, my heart's on fire. If you refuse me, honey, you lose me, then you'll be left alone. Oh, baby, telephone and tell me I'm your own. This morning through the phone, she said her name was Bess, and now I kinda know just where I'm at. I'm satisfied because I got my babe's address here pasted in the lining of my hat. But I am mighty scared, cause if the wires get crossed, 'twill separate me from my baby mine. Then some other guy will win her and my game is lost. And so each day I shout along the line. Hello my baby, hello my honey, hello my ragtime gal. Send me a kiss by wire. Baby, my heart's on fire. If you refuse me, honey,